and welcome to another episode of Good, Bad, and Ugly about real estate with Jose. I got a couple for you today. Friends of mine, John and Susan. Woo! How you guys doing?
We're great.
Very good.
Beautiful day outside.
Hold on a second. I never get that thing to stop. Edit that part out. Anyway, how you guys doing?
We're great.
We're doing great.
It's been a little bit since we got a chance to talk, the three of us. For the audience, I've known Susan first. I met her in Day of Pace.
The Pace, yeah.
And then John, we met in Scottsdale.
Yep.
So coming up on a year with both of you guys. So, I like to always start my episodes with allowing you to share who you are and, your story about real estate. So can you guys share how you got started in real estate and why you decided to choose real estate?
Okay, I'll start. I was working as director of operations for a real estate brokerage here in Charleston for 12 years. I am a licensed, so I like to refer to myself as a licensed investor now. That's what Jerry Norton said to call yourself. So a few years ago, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had made a plan to retire from our W-2 jobs. And working at the brokerage, I've been exposed to a lot of things. And one of the things that the broker started exposing everybody that worked there to was doing real estate investing. And, at the time I just thought, oh, John, we can buy a condo and then we'll rent it out and it'll be great. It'll be so easy. But little did I know there was a whole lot more involved in real estate investing than just going out and buying a property with your own money. So as we were getting closer to retirement, jump in if I'm missing something, we started joining real estate mentorships. So just like anything, we had to kiss some frogs before we found our prince. I was in REN, a women's real estate group, which exposed us to a lot of things, but it just didn't give us the more in-depth training that we needed.
Sure.
And from there, we went to homeschooled with Tarek Musa.
Okay.
And the great thing about that group was we were assigned our own mentor. And we met with Cheryl every other week or every third week. And she was very instrumental in getting us over the fear of money and the fear of, oh my God, what if something happens and we're on the hook and all of the other things, and got us to go out and get our first flip.
Okay.
And guided us through that.
Where'd you find your first flip?
Oh yeah, I found our first flip on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
Off market. Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace.
Yeah, so that's the good story. Is I went on Facebook. I followed the advice that I've been giving agents for years, which is don't stop working between Christmas and New Year's, and when every other agent stops working. And I got on Facebook Marketplace the day after Christmas, saw the property, we went and looked at it, and a week later we were under contract.
Wow.
So for our first flip. But it was through Tarek's trainings that we were exposed to Pace and Jamil.
Okay.
They were guests on his show, and what I liked about Subto was the guy who was reaching out to us, I think his name was Garrett. We were right in the middle of our flip, and we're like, look, we're not going to join anything else until this flip is done. And he kept up with us every couple of weeks and would check in with us and give us advice and talk about what was going on with our flip as we were doing it, which we really appreciated. And because it was our mentorship with homeschooled had ended, and
It was ending.
It ended before we were done with our flip. So we were kind of like, let's finish this, then we'll jump into Subto, which is what we did. But the reason we got into real estate investing was we knew we wanted to retire and we were going to be okay, but we wanted to do something else that was going to be fulfilling for us.
Okay.
And challenging. And hopefully we are on our path to creating some generational wealth for our children and grandchildren. So, and hopefully they'll learn something from us, and maybe they'll want to go out and do this also. Our son-in-law's got kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, so I can see Katie and Steven. Our daughter is going to join us in our process this year. Yeah, she's going to come up and join us and do marketing and things for us this year.
Oh, nice.
So, so that's kind of like how we got started. I was working for a real estate brokerage, and I run the brokerage. I was over the entire closing and listing department. So doing transactional closings for 12 years, I thought that moving into the top tier TC, which was just getting started right when we joined Subto, was going to be this great transition for me. And
little did you know.
Little did I know, it's a lot more involved than just a traditional real estate transaction. Right. And as I was getting into it, the group and of top tier TC is absolutely fabulous. The support is wonderful. I just got a little burnt out doing
closings. How many transactions have you done in the last 10, 12 years?
Oh God, I've probably closed over 2,000 transactions. So I was a little burnt out on doing transactions. Now I still do them for people. Somebody just called me last night and asked if I would help them with their first Subto deal. Okay. So it's something that's still in the background for me, but it's not like my passion anymore.
Sure.
So now we've moved on. I think we were dating a lot of different areas of real estate investing.
Sure.
So we started with the flip, learned a lot.
It was a successful flip.
It was successful. We made money. We learned what not to do.
Sure.
And we've moved into through just retirement information and navigating that whole new area of our lives, rediscovered solo 401ks. So we moved some of our 401k money into a solo 401k, and John can probably talk more on this, and started investing with that in estate deals. And we've become, due to Squad Up, we met this wonderful woman who walked up to us and said, "I don't know you, tell me your story." And we started talking. Her name is Teresa. And through her, we invested in a 100-unit mobile home park in Greenville, South Carolina. And you remember at Squad Up, John was constantly going back and forth trying to secure that deal. So we've done a little bit of this here and there. And so this year we really sat down and had a conversation about what's going to be our focus and what is going to be our active income. And I've done a little bit more mindset training and goal setting. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, where our journey has started and where we're at right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, you guys are the first couple that I've actually interviewed or had on my show. So, John, let's see, how can I put this? I know in my relationship with my wife, she has no desire to this. Real estate is my passion, not hers. So did Susan have to convince you to come on this journey with her, or is it
Oh,
something that
not,
you just
I'm
kind
gonna
of?
say, I'm gonna say not at all. Sue's, I'll just say my rock. She hates when I say she's the best thing that happened to me. It's the truth, and I will say it.
Yeah.
Uh, there was certainly plenty of time, although Sue and I met each other many, many years ago working together. I totally enjoy working with Sue, but during those years of W-2 work, I don't think we could have worked together all the, like that. In
Right.
this scenario,
Just for an example, when we were home, we both kept our jobs during COVID.
Uh-huh.
John was upstairs and I was downstairs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we stayed separated for 8 hours.
There you go.
But it's just it's a great arrangement. We are still working on the specific lanes, because it doesn't really benefit us to both be doing the same exact thing for the various transactions. So we have our different lanes and paths that we're working on. Certainly don't, at least from my perspective, don't feel like there's any conflict in that way. I'm really enjoying it. A few things Sue touched on a little bit. One was, sometimes you feel like you need a freaking degree in retirement to feel ready for it.
Absolutely.
We prepared. First, I'll say I thought we were prepared. I thought we had a plan.
We did not.
We did not.
We had a plan, maybe just not the well developed.
Yeah, I mean, there was a plan, but it was just not flushed out.
Sure.
And I came to the realization that on that subject, we really had two things going on. I thought we were perfectly fine. Hey, don't worry about it, Sue. I'm throwing money into this 401k. It's going to be okay. I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that maybe Sue wasn't worried, but she was absolutely concerned that we really didn't have a plan. So
Right.
we something, I think it was just a solicitation, came across, not long after I came to this understanding, and it was a night class, maybe 6 weeks or so.
It was just like 2 weeks.
Oh, it was more than
No,
that.
it wasn't.
But either way,
2 weeks, one session a week.
it was more than that. But it was all about retirement at the Citadel College from, professional investment or retirement company. And we went through that and learned a whole lot and realized, hey, if you can't answer exactly when you plan to retire, how much income are you going to generate during retirement? How do you ensure that your assets are secure, as well as what sort of buckets of money do you currently have, and how do those buckets of money, as you pull them out, affect your tax strategy? And did you know if you build up this bucket of money, you're going to be able to pull out money at a much better rate at almost no taxes or much less taxes. And so we're learning all these things, and I'm thinking, okay, I think I got a fairly good bucket of money, but I don't know crap about a lot of these other things. So that helped us to just really come up with a strategy. Yeah, we went ahead and signed up with the team that taught the class. That was a great relationship for a while. We were transparent, let them know that we were going to invest in real estate. We were going to use investing as well as our retirement quote funds that they were going to manage. We were also going to have some other funds that they weren't going to manage, and they were going to be, I'll say, non-traditional Wall Street investing. They were going to be real estate based or something else.
Right.
I was perfectly fine with that until we did it. And we were with them several years.
That's 3 years, yeah.
3 years, investing a pretty good chunk of change with them every month, building multiple accounts. We would go in every 6 months for a checkup.
Go on from there.
And everything was great. And then once we got into the real estate and the solo 401k and looking at various options, he wanted to call a meeting. We call a meeting. We have this great conversation. Then he says, "Oh, you guys have made some decisions that I'm just not comfortable with. Either I control all your assets or I don't want to control any of them." And Sue and I looked at each other and we're like,
"See ya."
"Okay, we'll see you later."
That was an easy decision for me, right?
And their company had a minimum amount that we need to invest. And even with the stuff we were, moving and doing, we far exceeded their minimum requirements.
Right.
I just thought it was crazy. So we packed our stuff and interviewed other retirement people. Now we're with a group that we're real comfortable with. We've got our solo 401k, learned about that. We've got a business loan out that's earning 20%.
Monthly.
We're getting 20% back on that. It's been the best investment I've ever made.
And we bought a rental property through our solo 401k.
Yeah, we got a rental property that's a different story. I mean, it's a good.
That's the other
thing's good, but everything's not roses,
Yeah.
But the first loan that we made was for $200,000. It was tough to write that check, because
but the good thing about it
you want to
is
get paid back.
the interest we earned off of that loan allowed us to reinvest into the mobile home park.
Gotcha.
So now we're taking the interest that we were earning off of our loan, which is what PACE is always teaching us, and reinvesting. So
And we'll do it again.
And we'll do it again.
And we'll do it again.
But it's like I said, we've been trying a lot of things, different avenues of real estate, and we've narrowed down what we're going to do for active income, and then where we want to go, where we want to invest. So it's been like I said, like last year was we had, everybody's got their personal stuff that happens, and we just happened to have all of ours happen in the last quarter of the year. We just got dumped on over and over and over again, but we dug our way out, and it's great because I text Pace and I let him know what was going on, because I felt like we were so disconnected from things because we just had so many personal things happening. And he was like, "Hey, family first, and we're here, and don't worry about it, and we're not going anywhere, and you'll just pick up when you're ready." So that kind of was like a weight off my shoulders, feeling like, okay, I'm not letting anybody down. Because I mean, we did. We were so in, and like I said, everybody's got their stuff. But then somebody else in Owners Club reached out and said that they were going through some stuff, and I was just like, you know what? Nobody knows what's going on with anybody else personally. So, it's not so bad to say, "Hey, I had to take a step back because of A, B, or C." Sure. So, but we've decided our active income is going to be wholesaling, and we've picked our market outside of South Carolina because it's crazy here. And then we're also going to be doing fix and flips, and hopefully, as we're acquiring these properties, that will lead us into finding co-living properties, which is our Mount Everest. And from the profits from those things, hopefully we'll be buying storage units.
You've got 2 business focuses you're
And
looking at.
I'm looking at an RV park. So that's kind of where our trajectory, what we've planned out for the year.
Yeah.
And I also, not fingers crossed, but once we get to this point, I've got other people who are looking for us to help invest in their projects. So we just have to stay the course and put our nose down and not let things get in the way. And like, I don't even remember who said it, but someone said it's the people who just keep coming back and keep doing are the ones who get the success. So
Well, sure. All of the mentorships on real estate, Pace, for sure, Jerry Norton, and I'm doing a very specific wholesale with James Hodges. He does $1 million wholesaler. It is only about wholesaling.
Gotcha.
About to hire a cold caller, if not one, maybe 2. Within the next week, I'm ready to launch that. Jerry said this. Hodges says it. The only way you lose is if you quit.
Right.
You keep going, you do it. As long as you're following this, you're true to the steps, you'll find success. Even if you suck as a closer, you just keep doing it enough times, you'll figure it out. So I'm going to do it enough times till I figure it out.
Yeah. We've also figured out that we have to be a little more selfish with our time. We have not a large family, but we've got, 3 daughters and 5 grandkids, and they know we're retired. So we live down the street. So it's kind of, they all live within 20 minutes of us. So it's,
well, some have more sense of schedule than others.
We've had to be, we had to start saying no a little bit more than we usually do, because we hate saying no to them. But when they want us to watch somebody or help out or whatever. So we've discovered we have to do that. And we have to get, I watched Matt Poachman's mindset and goal setting Zoom, which was wonderful. And he was very specific about how you write down your goal. And he explained to me, your Mount Everest is not your goal. That's the result of your goal. So, and then write it out every day and say it to yourself every day. And those are just things I didn't ever do before, which I have started doing that more and more to keep myself in the right mindset. And I've got my schedule down of the Zooms that I want to watch. You can't watch everything. So I have my Zooms that I want to be on. And sometimes I can make them and sometimes I can't. That's okay, depending on what I've got going on with my own stuff. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Gotcha. So I want to kind of step back a little bit, because some of the people in here, they may be new to real estate. So you guys mentioned that you started, your boss tried to get you into, or you mentioned getting into a condo, but you and John's first true real estate transaction was a fix and flip.
Mm-hmm.
So not really having any real estate background other than the transactions you were doing at the brokerage. How did you guys figure out how to pay for it? How did you guys find a contractor to fix and flip it? Those are the things that people don't know how to do, is how do I get started?
Okay. So we were in a mentorship, and you can join, you can do a paid mentorship. You can find your local real estate meetup groups. There's a lot of them here in Charleston. I'm sure there's a lot in most any city. And because we have like a Subto meetup, but we have people that are not in Subto in our meetups.
Sure.
They're just people who are doing real estate transactions, and then you start to learn who the big players are in your community,
and who is willing to help,
and who's willing to help.
So many people would fall all over themselves just to offer help.
Yeah.
So we weren't like really plugged in because homeschool didn't have the type of community that Subto has.
Right.
So we weren't really plugged into a community, so to speak, other than our Zooms with Subto. So we had been doing some training, watching the trainings, listening to our mentor, and I knew how to write a contract. So I've been writing contracts for 12 years. So that wasn't hard for me. I would say get a real estate agent if you don't know how to write a contract, or find yourself a transaction coordinator that knows how to write a contract.
I'm going to jump in and say something that Sue usually doesn't credit herself with, and that's in that 12 years that she spent with the brokerage, Sue was, and still gets calls, she was the go-to person in the office for anything.
Sure.
So she did listings, she did, they grew to the point that she wasn't doing listings anymore, but she wrote repair requests. She was the contact for all the various contractors that worked with the real estate teams in order to, hey, I need this such and such repaired right away. I need a plumber. I need a painter. I need a this. I need a that. So in the background, when we knew we were going to do this flip, and the mentorship had, this is how you find a contractor. And one of the mistakes we made is to do as much of the work as we could ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah, we made that mistake. But we also knew we were going to be able to find good contractors. And Sue pretty much, she had certain people that were able to help us a lot. And just with her relationship, we felt comfortable with those people. And, I know as we go into more flips on a bigger scale, it's going to be critical that we develop those good relationships, because the flips we do going forward are most likely going to be virtual. We've got to feel rock solid with those relationships. But during that fix and flip in the Charleston area, with many of the relationships Sue had, heck, you just say Sue's name and people, they knew who she was. They weren't going to screw her over, and it just worked out. So
I remember
big
last year they called you from out of retirement.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm actually meeting with somebody that I was on one of the agents tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, right after I retired, day after I retired, one of the old guys that I worked with at the brokerage started his own brokerage, and now I help him with finances. I tell him when not to spend money. But so we knew that we needed to get a hard money loan.
Okay.
And we used the connection through homeschool, which was Kiavi. And that was they were very easy to work with.
We definitely do with them.
It was because I had I would say, if you're going to get a hard money loan, have all of your paperwork together when you apply for the loan. Have your contract, have your comps, have your repairs and what you're going to do. Have all of your, if you have it all together in a package and send it to them, it's going to be so much easier. They'll need your LLC paperwork. They're going to ask you for things, but if you could just get a file and start putting all that stuff together, it's going to make the transaction so much easier. But we knew we were going to cover the repairs ourselves with our funds, which I learned not to do again.
We were in a position that we could do it. We didn't have to go borrow the money for it. and we were pretty confident we would get that back. So that's what we did.
So, but it was, so what I'm going to say is if you don't know somebody in the real estate world, get on Zillow, get on Redfin. Redfin, I think, is a little bit more accurate than Zillow. Redfin gives you a ton of information. You just keep scrolling down. It gives you comps. It gives you everything.
Right.
And I was lucky. I found somebody. It was a daughter selling her father's house. He had unfortunately passed away. And the weird thing was she was a house flipper. And I was like, why aren't you flipping this house? And she said, my siblings just want their $5,000 and to be done with it. So I said, okay. So we took it on. The ugly part of that is I never will strip wallpaper again, ever. This house had 1973 wallpaper everywhere. And it took us forever to get the wallpaper off, but I wanted the wallpaper off because I didn't want to paint over it, because I thought if it was already starting to peel and crack because it was so old, it just had to come off. But it was a very tedious job and took forever. But we were working our W-2 job. So we would go to work and then we would drive to the house, work on the house for 2 or 3 hours, then drive home, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, go to bed, and get up and do it all over again. And this was 3 months. We did this.
But there was a solid month where we didn't really do anything.
We were just kind of like going around shopping, looking for carpet and doing this and that. But we were doing something. We just weren't working. And so then we kicked it into gear. And I was like, we've got to get this house on the market by this date. This is our deadline. And I've already got the stager booked and the photographer.
Towards the end, it was all hands on deck.
Our son-in-laws came and helped us, and everybody was helping us get it finished. But we did a cosmetic flip, so we didn't have to pull permits or any of that stuff. We weren't tearing down walls.
But there was plenty of work done.
We did a lot of improvements. We improved the kitchen, all new countertops,
lighting,
cabinet fronts, lighting, all new appliances, carpet in the frog,
backsplash, tiling in the kitchen.
We upgraded the bathrooms. Luckily, the tile in the bathrooms was pristine, so we didn't touch it. But we put in custom cabinetry. And all new mirrors, all new door handles. We painted all the doors. We had a painter come in that helped us. We had a tile person come in. I called my electrician friend, and they changed out all 45 outlets for us.
They were all yellow.
45 outlets in this.
So that sounds more of a moderate rehab than a light cosmetic.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true.
A light rehab. Yeah, but we didn't have to. We did a little landscaping, but and we sold it in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Over asking. So
what happened at the first showing?
Oh, there was a glitch with Zillow, and our open house didn't show up on Zillow.
We scrambled to get this thing done.
We couldn't figure out what was going on, and I called
We're having our first showing tomorrow. And, we get there in the morning, get everything ready.
Nobody shows up.
Oh, my goodness. That would be
we thought we had the right house in the right market and all of that stuff. And I'm like, oh, my God.
So I called our listing coordinator at the office and said, what's going on? And she's like, oh, my God, you're like the fourth person to call me that's having an open house. There was a glitch with Zillow. So we weren't planning on doing one on Sunday, but we did. And then we had a lot of traffic and 3 offers, and we were under contract on Monday. But it was a lot of learning lesson. Don't do the work yourself, even if you can.
Oh, no kidding.
Don't spend your time doing, scraping wallpaper.
And we learn one of the keys, and people say this, but you don't know it till you learn it yourself. Time is money.
Sure.
Get that stuff done. And I feel we could have completely finished that project at least a month ahead if we would have gotten serious, and probably 45 days ahead if we didn't do the work ourselves.
Because nothing was happening while we were at work. So,
Right.
and I kept I was telling John, I'm like, I'm just sitting here at work. I was a little bored, and I'm like, I could be at the house doing this or that, but I'm sitting here looking
Right.
at leads for agents. But yeah, so that was, I mean, it was a great learning lesson. We learned a lot. We made money, so
no
that was
doubt.
even more positive.
Right.
And we sold it really fast. So, I can't say that it was a bad experience.
It was a great
It was a
experience.
great learning experience. And then we through our solo 401k experience, we were exposed to turnkey properties. So there's a company called Spartan Invest in Alabama that they buy the property, renovate it, and then get it ready for market. And then you can go in and buy it turnkey, and they will find a renter for you.
Oh, wow.
So
it's been a very positive experience.
Spartan Invest, and then Martell, I think, is another one. So we bought a cute little house
in Tuscaloosa,
Alabama, close to the university, and we got a renter in there right away, and everything was wonderful. And then all of a sudden, here comes the ugly: the renter stopped paying rent.
Uh-oh.
And then they filed bankruptcy. And then we found out we couldn't, state law in Alabama, we could not evict them while they were going through bankruptcy. So they got to live in the house for free.
Almost right at 6
almost
months.
6 months while we were going through this bankruptcy.
And kind of messed the house up. It cost us $6,000 to get the house redone, and it was completely redone before they moved in.
So we had some questions, like what was your vet? They told us about their vetting process, and they're like, he passed every test for vetting.
Right.
But something happened, and you can't predict that stuff. So now we have a new renter in there.
2-year lease.
They're paying their rent. So it was ugly situation. But it's starting to turn around now. So
right.
I think
and the good thing is on no interest, the rehab that had to be done for the second renter. I have to pay all of that, but I didn't have to pay anything up front. They just stick it on the bill and are paying it off as the rent comes in. So yeah, that's definitely on a bad and kind of the ugly side, but at least I didn't have to come out of pocket with another $6,000 for them to repair the house.
Spartan
They just took care of it.
They just took care of everything.
I'd recommend them highly. Honestly,
they took care of the bankruptcy stuff that had to be taken care of. They took care of everything for us.
That's awesome.
And now of course, they keep sending me properties to buy, but
well, of course, you're good buyers. Why not?
Yeah. So, and they're all in like Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, northern Georgia. So, and northern Alabama, and northern Georgia, and then southern Tennessee, like Chattanooga and stuff. Yeah. So, we probably will buy another property with them. It was very easy. But we bought it for cash through our solo 401k. So that money just goes right back into that solo 401k, and it's just building for our retirement.
Yeah.
When we finally do stop doing something. Yeah. I don't know when that'll be, but we're having a good time right now.
I guess if there's any, people that are going to watch this, I'd certainly have them gain some understanding of solo 401ks or solo IRAs, self-directed IRAs. I'd strongly recommend Matt Sorensen's directed IRA. They have the best program and the most value. And I'm speaking from experience. The first group that we hooked up with, I've got to say reasonably good things about the experience, because if I didn't know about them, I would have never known about that whole avenue of investing options, and to do that investing yourself as opposed to having your money only in the stock market.
Right.
So we moved away from that company. They were just really expensive. And directed IRA, better service at 30% of the cost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a sizable difference. And I will say, I don't think any of these companies are perfect on the administrative side. There's a lot of laws that you have to stay in line with. But directed IRA is doing a decent job with it, and they're providing me the options that I need as an investor to make that pretty easy. So, directed IRA.
So it seems to me, just listening to y'all share your story and everything you have going on, seems like, John, you're the private money lender of the couple, right? And then Sue seems to be like the acquisition person. She's trying to find the RV parks and the co-living and the fix and flips. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that's true. I am, as I mentioned, really got the umbrella for wholesale acquisitions. And as soon as I get that property, Sue will be the transaction coordinator, and I'll also be focusing on the disposition, but I'm counting on her for the transaction coordination, doing that side of it. And we are hoping that we will be able to build that for active income and be able to step away and hire and train other people to do those tasks. We'll see how that goes, but I mean, it's kind of a big goal, but I just don't want another job. I want to be able to build something that I can step away from and manage maybe 15 hours a week. That'll allows us to do other things, but it's going to take a lot of time up front to get that going.
I mean, who would have thought a year ago we'd be hiring our first employee?
Yeah.
A cold caller.
Well, we learned in Owners Club, right? How to start being an owner and not just a worker in our own business.
100%.
Yeah, and it's just, it's a lot of things. It's a mind shift, and it just took a little bit to get the mind shift. Like I was sitting here the other day, frustrated with Canva. I don't know anything about Canva, and I called Kelly Carver from Owners Club and said, do you know Canva? And she said, Sue, there's this other couple, their daughter will do this for you, and she will do it quickly. And so I called her, and she's got all of our stuff. She's putting it all together. She's creating a landing page. I mean, I would have just sit here in front of my computer cursing for 2 days.
She's incredibly reasonable too.
I'm learning how to delegate.
There you go. That's awesome.
I was so used to doing everything myself.
Yeah.
That it was hard to, say, okay, I can send this off and do, let somebody else take over this for a little bit. But it was, and that's, like I said, that the mindset had to change.
Sure.
As I don't have to do everything myself anymore. So we took us a little while, but we're finally getting there.
Hey, the point is you're getting there, and that's the
yeah. And we're, and it's, and I had to realize that it's, it's okay if you have to step back for a little while because something else is happening that's more important. That it'll be there when you're ready to pick up. So because we stepped back for 3.5 months or whatever, I've now picked up, I'm doing an 8-week flipping course with Jerry Norton that's very specific and the new way of doing flips and how to work smarter and not harder, and taking the quizzes and doing all these things. And I'm excited about it because it's going to be, I'm going to learn how to do virtual flips. I don't have to just look for flips in the Charleston market where, everything here is very expensive.
Well, and there is no wholesaling is truly illegal in South Carolina. The double close doesn't work. The only thing you can do is totally purchase the property with all the money. You can do that and sell it the next day. But
yeah, they keep going back and forth on the law on that. So
that's pretty much it. So if you found a property that you say like in the market for my wholesaling, to generate a list in order to provide the cold caller with 10,000 skip trace records. And, you hope that those 10,000 records are going to include a reasonable number of people that truly want to sell their house at a discount. They've got a need or some distress that you need to be able to solve. That's not free. You have to go out and purchase that. And that's numerous. That's probably $3,000 or $4,000 easy. So you got to be able to do all that stuff.
And you have to build business credit also.
There you go.
So we learned how to do that. And it's not hard. I mean, if you need to build business credit, go out and open, once you have your LLC and your EIN number, open a bank account and then apply for credit cards in your business name. Then you use those credit cards, $50 a month, pay it off, $50 on the other card, pay it off, however many cards you have. We started out with Costco's business card from Citibank and Chase, Amazon Prime business card, and Chase, and just started. That's how we started, using the cards a little bit here and there. And so when I opened up my TC LLC, and I went to the bank, and I got a pretty large credit limit on a credit card for my business. Nice. So, and now we can get a pretty good significant chunk of change if we want.
Well, just for the wholesaling, I went out and knew we were going to utilize business credit, but through the wholesaling mentorship, what they said, if you have a good credit score, luckily Sue and I have very good credit scores. We advise you to go out, if you go with this service, we think we can get you, call it $75,000 worth of credit. That'll be interest free for at least a year.
And most of them are more than like 15 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So
now that service, and I would recommend them to Copper Rock Financial. It cost $3,000, and I got $120,000 of credit, pretty much split between business credit and personal credit in 3 days. Everything was done in one day, and then it took, a couple of days to settle everything. I would not have, and they did the applications on my behalf. Yeah, I had to sign documents and get it all done, but they did it like that. If you got good credit and you need some business credit, you got a plan, I would recommend them in a heartbeat. They were no fuss.
Awesome. We're getting down to that point. If people wanted to follow your journey from this point forward, or if they wanted to partner with you or see if they could get a loan from you, John, how could they get in touch with you guys?
For me, you can reach out on Instagram. It's Susan McGee _SC. Or you can reach me at Facebook. It's just Susan McGee, Susan Belize McGee. And then what's your Instagram?
Boy, I'm going to have to look at my Instagram is
Isn't it John McGee?
john.m.mcgee or at john.m.mcgee.
Don't worry about it, folks. I'll have it in the description once this thing gets published, so you don't have to worry about guessing if it's right or wrong. I'll make sure they give you the right information so that you don't miss out on keeping in touch with them. Am I going to be seeing you both in Dallas or just Susan?
Nope, we'll both be there.
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. I'm going to try and hang on Sue's coattails for as many of those trips as possible.
Awesome. Well, Jen, the both of you, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come talk with me and share with the audience your experience and enlighten them with your wisdom and some of the nuggets you shared. I usually call people out for the good and bad, but you kind of shared that throughout the whole thing. So there was really no need because you kind of highlighted each of them as you went through. So I appreciate that. And for the audience out there, this concludes another episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Bye.